Hi guys, I'm Doc Spock here in my white lab coat, and we're here to start another series of experiments because here on this channel we've noticed the popularity of certain scientific-based, experiments on YouTube that seem to be wildly popular. So we've decided that we're going to have Doc Spock, do, which is me, do, a series of experiments to, just sort of, jump on the bandwagon of using the scientific method to entertain and educate all the great Americans out there and people around the world. So what we want to do is, today's experiment is very simple. We decided to think, we want to think of something that was family oriented, and of course that means we wanted it to appeal to kids, so we're going to be using squirt guns. And then we also thought, okay, so what can we do with squirt guns that quite frankly hasn't been done hundreds of times before all across, everywhere. And so we decided that after a lot of thought, we decided, squirt gun full of gasoline, squirt gun full of acetone, squirt gun full of, green sludge, squirt gun full of, full of blood, but none of them seem, that seemed a little weird. So finally we settled on a super soaker full of sperm. And our idea is that we want to just test a number of things. Like, first, is a super soaker full of sperm even viable? And secondly, do people react differently when hit by a super soaker full of water, our control, versus a super soaker full of sperm? And then in our third experiment, we want to know if when people, if people know they're going to be hit by a super soaker full of sperm, will they react differently than if they were going to be hit by a super soaker full of water? And finally, how does this compare to the reaction to a real gun? So what we want to do now is that first we're going to introduce our super soaker here. Yep, right here. And what we want to do is we're going to fill this full of sperm, right? Oh no, actually first we're going to fill it full of water for our control. I can't get ahead of myself here. So here we go, we got it full of just H2O, folks, and here are all the kids and the families in the park, hi guys, hey! Just good old middle-class Americans, folks, and let's see what happens. Oh, they love it, guys. There's just nothing better than soaking people with water with a good old super soaker. So anyway, so now what we do is that, I don't know if you've noticed, I want to take a moment here, be real serious, okay? I want to thank Jake, Matthew, Dan, and Daryl for spending 3 days filling up this jar for me. It wasn't easy, and I had to give them a lot of trips to Wingstop, a lot of different other places, to keep them fueled, and now they're just dead asleep on the couch. It probably will be for a few more hours. But because of that, we have a mayonnaise jar here full of what we need. So what I want to do now is that we're going to fill this up, all right? And we're going to see, if there's any scientifically demonstrable difference in people's reactions. Okay, so we notice a definitely different reaction now. It seems that little girls and little boys didn't seem to really react any differently to having a sperm-filled super soaker, except that they seemed to think it was a little messier. But the mothers just freaked out. It was really a trip. The mothers, just started freaking out and jumping up and down and gathering their kids. They didn't know what was wrong, really. And the dads just became totally pale and everything. So there was a difference in the reaction. Okay, now not in the younger group, but in the older group, there was just an incredibly different reaction. And we didn't really have any teenagers here, so I can't really speak for them. But mostly, yeah, just, the adults just went crazy, kids loved it. So now, what we're going to do is that we want to see if there's going to be any difference if people know that they're going to be struck by a super soaker full of sperm. So what we've done is we've mounted right here, I don't know if you can see, this speaker, okay? And all this speaker does, you're clicking on, this super soaker is full of sperm. This super soaker is full of sperm. And you get the idea. So now we're going to go out to the park, okay? And with this blaring, we're going to see if there's any difference in people's reactions. This Super Soaker is full of surprises. Okay, so there's no one in the park now, and I don't think I hit anyone. So what we observed this time is that people were leaping in the trees. People were performing superhuman feats, folks. I mean, things I didn't think were possible. I mean, they were burrowing into the ground. They were disappearing and out of thin air, just like they became invisible. I mean, it was mothers were gathering their children and flying into the air. It was just unbelievable, folks. I have never seen anything like it before. I'm going to be sending this to several universities. I'm going to be sending this to some out-of-country firms. We may have actually discovered something here. This might have military application, actually. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to see what happens when we go to the park with a real gun. And see, again, this will be our final test. Is there any difference in the reaction? Okay, so here we go. Hi, everybody! I got a gun! Huh, they're not running, folks. They're all turning around. They all see that I indeed have a gun. And what's this one person? They're all standing their ground, folks. This is really interesting. Look, and one woman's stepping forward, and she says, this is what she says, folks. So you have a gun? Well, fine. I believe in everything about America. I believe in America's middle-class values, and I'm proud of being a middle-class American. Our country has never done any injustice. Our country has never done any wrong. And because of that, go ahead and shoot, you madman. I stand for every ideal this country has to offer, and I'm proud to die for it. Shoot! Shoot, you madman! So, what we've noticed here, you guys can go, thanks, it's just science, just science. So in other words, our observations here tell us that indeed there is a much different reaction to an actual firearm. Indeed, it does actually seem that people are much more frightened of being hit by sperm than actual bullets. Report confirmed, Doc Spock out.